Hi, good evening. And tonight's chat is an interesting one. It's all about kids' health and nutrition. So join myself and Pippa Campbell tonight when the subject is kids. Oh,
hello.
We're in pink.
We're in neon.
We're going for it. Okay, so children, always an interesting topic because I mean there's so many variables within kids' diets and there is so much misinformation out there. And to be honest, I think a lot of us are led to believe that kids' guts can withstand anything bar alcohol and narcotics. Well, not even that in some cases, because for some reason it seems to be accepted that children can have the most inflammatory products and it doesn't even raise an eyebrow in society today. Can you just explain to me why a lot of children don't get the bloating that we do in, say, our 30s and 40s? Why do they seem so resilient? Is it because their guts haven't had so much inflammation over the years, or they've not got leaky gut yet? Is it just a matter of time?
Yeah, quite often it is a matter of time. But actually, I think you'll find that a lot of children, I mean, not necessarily bloating, but of course, if they've always been bloated, then that's all they know.
Right.
So they don't actually know to say I'm bloated. But constipation is probably the most common gut symptom when it comes to children. Or you could say eczema, asthma is another one as well. But in terms of actually true gut symptoms, you could say, so constipation probably is. But of course, I think as women, we tend to bloat more because there's quite often a factor with estrogen. So that's why things are sort of exacerbated. But, children, might get bloated. They don't necessarily have the distension. And what I mean by distension is that they might feel sort of bloated, but they don't look it. But They don't know any different. It's like a child doesn't necessarily know that they're constipated because they can't say they don't know any different. I mean, a lot of children have been constipated since, birth. So they don't know.
And how would you, actually, just that's moving on to literally question number 2 here. Constipation. How do you sort of know if a child's constipated or it's getting, to be a problem? And how do you treat that in the most sort of holistic way before you obviously, because sometimes hospitals don't even know what to do.
No, I know. And Movicol is the sort of standard thing that the doctor will prescribe. So as a baby,
am I right in thinking Movicol is kind of, you become dependent on it? Your body would just use that as opposed to...
It is a form of laxative, but that's all they can do. And to be honest, it is quite often something that they need and rely on if you don't know anything else than just to get the child's bowels moving. So when you're changing their nappies, so right from early age, you'll see if they're constipated because their stools will be, they won't be going very often, but their stools will be really hard as well. In the summer, you might see it sort of, they could be crawling, especially when they start crawling, could be crawling around, and you almost like sort of see them sort of pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell by it's not soft, it's hard. And they're likely as babies to be crying and sort of hunching over quite a bit because their tummy hurts.
Painful.
Because they're constipated. So it will be painful.
And how do you come off something as strong as Movicol?
Well, I think with Movicol, so what I've done with children is introduce things like magnesium citrate and oxide, so a mixture is quite good. I mean, you can get that anywhere, but there's got this Lipid X formula that I use that I sort of like crush it up and try and get it into sort of children's food. But it's really looking at why they're constipated as well. Yeah. So
what sort of root causes would cause constipation?
So the most common reasons for gut symptoms, so I'll be asking questions like, were they born by C-section? Right. Were they breastfed? Were they born early? So all of those things will affect the microbiome, the mucosal immunity. So all those things will absolutely affect gut health. So If a baby is born even if the mother knows it's going to be born by C-section, or it is born by C-section, I would probably get a probiotic powder, tell the mother to put it on their nipple when they're breastfeeding, or put it in the bottle if they're not breastfeeding, to put it in the formula.
Can you just explain the reason why a C-section is so, well, basically they miss out on the birth canal and all the bacteria that you have down below,
there's a huge amount
there's a huge amount of natural bacteria which the baby absorbs and breathes in and sort of like swallows when you're going down the birth canal, and it goes past the anus, the vagina and everything. And that's basically the inherited microbiome, which of course, you know, I was you know, Tim Spector, the gut guy. So I was reading his book, and it's really interesting that twins who are born by C-section have different gut microbiomes because a different nurse has handled them straight after the section, and their body has absorbed that microbiome from, say, one midwife and, say, the surgeon, which is incredible. So those twins, which would have been identical, have totally different microbiomes.
As soon as they're born.
Different immune systems, different mood systems, because who picked them up first? I mean, never mind it's in the start.
And the different clothes that they're put in. I mean, literally, you think about as soon as they come out into the outside world, and we need to be exposed to all this different bacteria, which is why, you know, they're saying that children don't get down and dirty and play in the soil, which is really good for, you know, getting all the sort of good bacteria, and children aren't getting sort of dirty anymore. And then our houses are too clean, and that we're using too much sort of, you know, sanitizers and all that sort of thing. So children need to be exposed to a certain amount of bacteria, but particularly...
I mean, that's why they say pets are really good. They always say, like, children who are brought up on farms have a much better microbiome than those children brought up in, say, cities and sterile environments. And I've got these two puppies here, you might be able to hear. And I'm just like screaming with this bloody puppies driving me mad. But I'm just thinking, it's really good for the kids' microbiome. It's really good. I'm just totally
It is actually. I mean, the thing is, if you do have a child born by a C-section, if you've got a dog, then, you know, all these things that actually helps improve their sort of chances. Because, you know, that, you know, of course, there's the genetics as well. Are they, you know, prone to sort of being allergic to certain sort of different things as well, which we'll come on to. But yeah, so as much as, you know, things like pets, it's been shown, there's a lot of research to show that it can reduce childhood allergies and help with asthma, but you have to have it there, you know, when your baby gets home. So you need to sort of get in quite early. So my daughter was born 7 weeks early. 6 weeks early, not 7, 6. So I started going into delivery. Well, I literally, my waters broke at 8 weeks early, but they managed to hold me off, and she was born 6 weeks early. Luckily, I could breastfeed from day one, which is quite unusual for a baby born that early. So at least, you know, she got that. But she has this sort of slight genetic predisposition to allergies and things anyway, but it was probably worse because she was born early. So there were gut issues early on. But if you're not breastfeeding, and some mothers just can't breastfeed, that, you know, there's a reason why they can't, they're missing out on the colostrum. So children can have colostrum as well. That's a really good thing. So not only getting probiotics in, but colostrum, and you can buy colostrum powders. So you can actually, again, put it on the nipple, put it in the bottle. So those two things I think are really key. Very good for the immune system, colostrum.
And it's really good for us as well. It's great. It's brilliant for healing our gut. So it can just be like a family thing as well. You can all use it.
Yeah, colostrum and collagen. Unless you're really, really casein sensitive, then I think you could get it into, you know, all sorts of things and get it into the children. So I think powders work quite well with young children, or liquids, because they can't swallow. I mean, I trained mine to really young to swallow a lot of pills.
I taught myself, funnily enough. Yeah, there's a skill you pick up.
That's another Instagram.
Okay, right. So I've got a list of questions here that we've picked up. There's some super interesting questions here actually, and I want to start whizzing through them, and I'll see what else we've got on the feed as well. Okay, my 9-year-old daughter's already showing signs of puberty: underarm hair, pubic hair, sweating, mood swings. Personally, I think that could be like all sorts of things, from soya to plastics to lavender, all these endocrine disruptors. It's just out there, you know?
Yeah, so
I agree. Because I've read all about like like these disruptors and listen to some fascinating things that can just bring on puberty, like soya that's in all these vegan products. So can you just please explain to someone who's qualified rather than me, in my opinion?
So I agree, actually. I think it has a lot to do with endocrine disruptors. So we could be in our water drinking the pill that people are weeing out, so, and you say plastic. So what we call sort of like xenoestrogens, it's like estrogens that are actually it's affecting our estrogen receptors. So for example, toxins in plastics, we ingest it, and our body can think it's estrogen, and it blocks our estrogen receptors, so then our estrogen can't get in. So then you have estrogen dominance again, which I banged on about a lot. So, these girls are getting, and sometimes getting their periods as young as 8, it's young. It is too young, I agree. So that's where we have to look at, and you can, potentially use things like DIM and CAD glucose, some of the supplements that we've been talking about, you can. Potentially
would possibly doing a Dutch panel test help with this?
Yeah.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty and check her hormones, and it's only a urine. It's not like drawing blood or anything like that. You just have to, because there's a lady here whose daughter's had these symptoms from the age of 6. I was listening to an interesting podcast, and a lot of boys are actually developing breast tissue because of the amount of plastics and hormones in our products. And I suppose it just depends on your detox. It won't happen to everyone, but your detox capability sometimes isn't strong enough to take on these artificial estrogens or estrogen replicas, right? Am I right in saying that?
Estrogen
and this is modern day living, and it's a phenomenon that's happening, and we can't ignore it, because it would completely devastate a young boy or devastate a young girl to hit puberty too early or grow man boobs. It's not fair. And it's not their fault, it's the industry.
It's the industry. Boys, you can get boys or men with this sort of tummy fat, and it's not the kind of insulin resistance we're talking about.
Hippie as well.
And boobs. And actually, they can take DIM as well. Men can.
Fascinating.
So, but again, they can do a Dutch test as well, men. So you can sort of see that. But you're right. It's supporting detoxification as well. Trying to get all these green leafy vegetables into the children. It's hard when they're children, because you've got to trying to get them to eat these things, and especially if you're dealing with fussy eaters, then it can be really, really tricky. But
I find with fussy eaters, there's a lot of these questions here. I find being honest with my boys, and all of them want to be professional footballers. So I simply put Ronaldo on YouTube and I say, do you think he's eating that? Do you think his boy's eating that? No, he's eating this. And before you know it, they go, fine, they eat it. And then they're out and the argument's over. It's just sometimes it's just as simple as just giving them an idol. And they just, they're kids, aren't they?
And also,
I'm sure Cristiano Ronaldo does not eat broccoli every night. And he doesn't have pan fried whatever I'm bloody rustling up. But, sometimes...
Yeah, and also if they eat... don't worry about, yes, we'd all love our children to have the most enormously varied diet. My daughter did. She would eat absolutely anything. My son he was pretty good as well. Both of them were very good. But actually, when I was growing up, I ate absolutely everything. But my brother would pretty much eat 3 vegetables. So just, my mother just gave him those 3 vegetables that he liked. So if they do like broccoli, or if it's like they like cauliflower, or they like one of these vegetables, just keep giving it to them.
Okay, that just quickly brings me on to supplements. So there's a lot on the market that are very sugary, kids multivitamins. Now then, let's just cut out the middleman. What brand would you go for? Because a lot of them are just glorified sweets that you get in Holland and Barrett, and they are just ripping us all off. As parents, they're tapping into our guilt, they're using the marketing, and they're making us feel that our kids, if they don't have these, they're not going to be healthy. All these omegas and everything, but they're just saturated.
I know, it's like Actimel. Actimel is full of sugar. So don't buy those Yakult Actimel things in the supermarket. Just get a plain probiotic powder, or as you said, you use Simprove, don't you? Yeah. Your children have that.
Lux has Simprove, quite. And he's my fussiest out of all of them. He's the fussiest.
And he has Simprove.
So he reminds me, actually. And do you know what? He's kind of been quite I think because he sees me doing this and everything, all of a sudden he's like, oh, it's kind of important what I'm doing, and this is good for me, isn't it? And and I'm like, yeah, it's good for you. And then say if he like sees something on the TV and he goes, yeah, that's not really good for you though, is it, mummy? I said, no, Ronaldo wouldn't have that. And it's just simple. It's just because I don't want them to think that I'm not letting them have something because I don't like them. It's because I don't like them eating it, because I want them to be strong young men with a good gut that can fight off diseases.
And I think the thing is it's hard to get your children to eat certain things, but when you have young children, you can control at least what you buy. Now, of course, when they're teenagers, they can just go to the shop. Yeah. But when they're young, you can absolutely. So if they kick up a fuss, the thing is just don't buy this rubbish. Yeah. If you don't buy it, it's not in the house. These young children, they can't have it, can they?
No. So I mean, when I'm in the supermarket, because we're on lockdown, I'm always like, oh, should I get them this? And I just think, no, because it's going to get eaten and I'm going to watch them eating it and I'm going to feel bad because I've put it there. I mean, it's like someone just constantly buying me wine. Eventually, I'm going to drink it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you sit in a hairdresser's long enough, you'll have a haircut. That's like an AA saying. Just don't have it in the house. And you've got the best excuse to say that shop's shut now.
Exactly. I mean, if they go around to someone else's house, which of course they're not at the moment, they might well get it. Or if they go to a party or something. My children used to get, because I didn't have anything, like that when they were younger. So when they used to go to parties, they would go mad if they had some sugar. They would, literally sort of shake it.
Yeah. One of mine does that. Yeah.
What it does to them. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I've got the guilt sort of thing when, obviously I've got an ex-husband, and my eldest used to go back to him and he has all the junk food there, and then he'd come back to me and he'd moan, and so I'd always be like trying to buy his affection. And you know what, I just think I'm being played here, what can I do? And now he's just now he wants to just go to Domino's and everything. He's hitting the teens, and I'm like, I've done all I can. To be honest, I wasn't even educated when he was very young. I didn't have a clue. It's only with the last 3 and since my mum died and the cancer, and I've been like devouring books, that I suddenly realized I've got control over their mental health via what they eat. And that, as a recovering addict, is the biggest, because I hate to think I've fed my kids stuff that has predisposed them to a teenage and early 20s and 30s of chronic depression.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll understand, because you fed them in this way. So then they'll get to the stage where they know they feel better if, they eat, protein. They know, like my son knows when he has exams and things like that, he knows that he's got to be, he's not going to, or he might go off caffeine, or he might just have one coffee or something, or he probably doesn't have it all. He knows he's going to eat protein. He knows he's not going to eat sugar, because he won't be able to concentrate for that next exam. Because once they know this and they know the benefit. Look, I'm not saying he's an angel at all. When you get, my son is 15. He can, go out the house and get his own stuff if he wants to. It's not that.
But he's aware of the power of food, I guess, because you've taught him, and that's your job, isn't it? As a mother and as a nutritionist. Yeah. You've got. Anyway, let's get back down.
So, okay. But it is, So,
we've got an 11-year-old here with verrucas. Now, my son had verrucas for ages. I couldn't get rid of them. What is it?
So, it's obviously a virus, but if it's like they've had them for so long and still not going and keep coming back, then I'd be thinking of antivirals, even getting, look, in the extreme, being tested something like Epstein-Barr virus, it could be something like that. But, things, antivirals, lysine is a very good antiviral.
That's great for cold sores. I get cold sores all the time. Whenever, because we've been in the sun and stuff, I've not had one cold sore since I've been taking L-lysine, because obviously there's viruses everywhere. But I guarantee if I sit out in the sun without taking it, I'll get a whopping great big cold sore. My dad's the same, and that's it, L-lysine.
And with a lot of these things, like L-lysine, so it only comes in a capsule and you've got a young child. You can quite often, if you look at the capsules, sometimes you can open capsules and get them into food and get them into smoothies. So, check these things. Just because it's a capsule, quite often they can be opened. It's just like the hard ones that aren't in a capsule that might not be very nice.
But if the capsule, because I've often wondered about this, when you empty the capsule, does that not is it not in a capsule to like make the delivery into the gut?
No, I think L-lysine is fine. I think a lot of them is just for convenience.
Okay.
Some of them are, so it's like a sustained release. But something like L-lysine, you could empty it and put it in. So it's just quite often it's just for ease of use of, you know, swallowing.
Okay, super. My husband's celiac, but the children tested negative. What's that about?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. If they have symptoms, though, I would still be cutting out gluten. I don't know the full story here, but if they have symptoms, I would still be cutting out gluten. It's quite, you know, the father celiac, there is, you know, strong sort of likelihood that, you know, they could be, but obviously they've had the test. Sometimes the test can provide a bit of a false negative. But I would say if the child's father's celiac and they start showing gut symptoms, I would try cutting out gluten and see.
Okay, and what about gluten-free breads and things like that?
Yeah, I know that's a really tough one because we're talking about children here. We're not talking about adults. Like I'm gluten-free, but I'm naturally gluten-free, so I don't eat gluten-free bread. Look, we're talking about children. It's really hard. If you have to make a sandwich for their packed lunch, you know, occasionally it's going to be just easy to use gluten-free bread. Buy the best one you can find.
How about sourdough?
Yeah, but if they're even sensitive to sourdough, if they have to be completely gluten-free, you can get the best quality gluten-free bread you can. Now, sometimes that symptoms will improve. They'll be so much better. Occasionally, that supermarket gluten-free bread is going to make them feel worse because of all the other stuff in it. Yeah. It's you know, tough. Bread is the hardest thing to make gluten-free. So, you know, in our house, we've got that we buy some. No one will touch my homemade bread, which is quinoa and flaxseed. And I love your honesty.
No one gives a shit about me baking.
No. And I made a mung bean bread, and my son is still going on about how disgusting it was.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say still raving about it. No, it's still disgusting.
No, he said it's the most disgusting thing. It would break a window. It was like a brick. So anyway,
that was my intention.
So my friends, they like the bread from a company called Artisan Bread Organic, who deliver all over the country, and they deliver to Jersey. It's quite handy, and it goes easily in the freezer. And they have like paninis, they have rolls, and they use the rice bread one, which is kind of like, it's called rice bread toasty. It's the most like sort of normal bread. You still couldn't make a very good sandwich. So if we're thinking about lunch boxes, it toasts beautifully, but it's hard to make a sandwich. So for my daughter, I
find that with a lot of sort of sourdough. I mean, I tend to use my sourdoughs after the first couple of days. It kind of goes, and then I just whiz it up in the food processor and turn it into breadcrumbs to put on fish, to put on chicken legs.
Yeah, you've got to be clever. So if you're at home,
I mean, you just got to like we need to get out this sandwich mania. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's like literally Europe and the USA are obsessed with sandwiches. Everything's put between bread. I used to have like mashed potato butties, pot noodle butties. It is a mania with us.
Yeah. So I think it's time.
White folding bread.
So I will, like with my daughter's lunch boxes, I kind of rotate. So I'll sort of go like, I might do a homemade pesto, and there's like do a pesto pasta or something like that with chicken, always with some protein as well. And then she kind of, her favorite's probably a rice salad, but there's chicken, and I'll throw in some, you know, maybe some avocado and some carrots and all things like that. And then sometimes I use, you know, like the hunter-gatherer mayo. So I might put that through some cold new potatoes, again with some protein and some.
Little sushi's good though, isn't it? Sushi's pretty good, I guess. Yeah. You could do homemade sushi, you know.
But I think it's the school lunch boxes. That's the hardest, because if you're at home, it's a lot easier. But it's what to send them, you know, to school with. So.
Okay, someone here seems to be. She's saying, what about wholemeal wraps? You see, this is the misconception that wholemeal and as many seeds as you possibly can is good for you. It can be the absolute opposite. It can be so inflammatory and so bloating that all these like little seeds and everything need to be prepared properly before you can throw them down your neck. And this is what the agricultural industry did not tell you when they were pushing fiber on everybody. So wholemeal is a little bit of a false promise that it's actually good for you, They're just selling more bread, and they're super
if they've got
sweet
gut
as well.
issues, yeah. I mean, I think if they've got gut issues, then you just need to try and get out all the wheat and the gluten. So that's sort of what we're saying, if you have to be gluten-free. Now, the other thing we're talking about, children with a lot of gut symptoms, particularly like eczema, which I know we come on to. So we talked about gluten, but dairy can be a big problem, particularly.
Can you explain why dairy is okay for some people like me and not for others? What is that due about?
It's going back to quite often the state of the gut. So if it's inflammatory for you, so if your gut isn't, I mean, you may never be able to, some people may never be able to sort of have dairy and have issues with it. So, I know, for example, with my daughter, it's very obvious when she has dairy. Now, occasionally she does, but she'll take her digestive enzyme before she does. But, it's like itchy throat, the sort of mucousy. Eczema is quite often one that's associated with inflammation with dairy. So it's quite often if you've got skin things, or children have got skin things, acne.
What about here?
Acne as well, yeah.
Red spots. Somebody just mentioned her twins have got it.
Quite often gluten, actually, that one. I find the bumps.
My son has that. My son has that as well. He will not. Well, his dad won't cut out gluten. It's mad.
And I think things like for skin, vitamin A is very good. Zinc is very good. Vitamin D is very good. Okay. And then do you need to heal the gut lining? You know what?
It does go down in the sun, actually. Is that the vitamin D synthesis?
Yeah.
Because I just thought it was the sun like burning it off, but it could be the vitamin D.
Vitamin D is really good for the gut, good for the immune system. Absolutely. So it's just, we're talking about gluten and dairy just because those tend to
be the biggies.
And I suppose sugar. They're the biggies in terms of inflammation, causing problems. So if your child has a lot of acne, and it's not, I'm not just talking about sort of puberty, but of course this would still come in, any kind of skin issues, I would try an elimination diet. And we've talked about it before. I absolutely would always start with diet first. There's no point piling in with the zinc and the vitamin A, and then, you haven't actually altered their diet. It may not work. So I would always try with diet first. I know it's hard. I mean, I had to do it when they were younger, but you can do it. I mean, in those days when I did it with my daughter, there wasn't even anything.
Probably frowned upon, actually, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to Pizza Express for one of the cousins' birthdays, and I made her I made my own bread, gluten-free bread. It was so heavy, and she sat and ate a sandwich when they had a pizza.
Oh my God. Oh, I know. The weird kid. It's the weird kid, everyone. Oh, God.
I know. But the thing is that we saw the results, we saw the benefits. So I think as soon as your child knows that they feel better that way, then
there's nothing worse than a kid who is physically and mentally in distress. It's horrible. There's nothing worse because you're only as happy as your most miserable kid. And that's a fact,
It's a lot easier now. So much easier these days.
Interesting one here. We'll move on to tests as well, the sort of tests we'd recommend shortly. Skinny teenage boys who want to gain muscle and weight.
I've got one of those.
Have you?
Yes, I do. He's 6'4" and 15. Okay, so we're going to move away from this no snacking thing now, because these boys, it's good for them to have their 3 meals, and then mid-morning, mid-afternoon, they can have a big protein shake. Okay, right. So they want more muscle, so you want to get more protein in. So like Sun Warrior blend, chocolate or vanilla, they tend to like that. And then you can pile into, collagen and things like that. Yeah. But if you need to add adding then healthy fat, so extra sort of calories, so you can add in almond butter, desiccated coconut if they like that, if they like avocado. So it's sort of a big shake, which could be quite substantial, sort of mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and that's that's going to help them with muscle. Things like
basically it's just bulking up that protein again, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. And what about I guess it will be doing heavy weights.
Yeah, so and doing weights as well, which I think we should all be lifting some weights, actually, all of us women as well. But so my son will have like amino acids before he does a workout. Then he'll have some protein whey or some protein powder straight after as well, so sort of timing it. But they just need more, and it's hard with teenage boys because they quite often want to sleep until lunchtime, and then they miss a meal. So, you know, then they're like...
Yeah, do you know my son, my eldest, he sort of clocked onto my intermittent fasting. And he's like, no, it's okay, I'm intermittent fasting. Now, don't get me wrong, no kid should be intermittent fasting until they're after puberty. So he should not, but he's clocked onto that because he can't be bothered eating or preparing himself some food. So he's intermittent fasting at the moment. But if you put a ham and cheese toastie in front of him, I'm not intermittent fasting now. Intermittent fasting, there's vegetables and some fish there, all of a sudden, you know what I mean? So
I get it.
This question here, what amino acids should my son take? Okay, listen, I saw a brilliant Ben Greenfield interview about he's saying not to take branched chain amino acids, actually. Just take your essential amino acids if you want to bulk up.
So
have a look what Ben Greenfield said. He's predominantly male orientated, and every boy just wants to look like him.
So that's what my son takes.
Amino Sport,
so it does have some weigh-in. So if you're really weigh sensitive, they do one just amino, so it's called free aminos, and it doesn't have any weigh-in. But that is really, really good. So you take that before, because it's kind of to help prevent muscle breakdown, although that's sort of what the process that happens, but it helps you not lose muscle. And then you can have the, you know, protein powder straight after. So yeah, that's what my son takes. He's, you know, wanting to...
Of course. What you want, Rep Max? Listen, I'm from Wigan. That's all lads.
I want a bulk up too.
Like that. It's literally walking around with no neck. Honestly, it's just like
all
about bulking up, lads. Okay, right. Can children have collagen powder? Mine do.
Yes. Any age, absolutely.
It's lovely stuff. I put it in their jelly. I put it in their smoothies. I put it in everything, even if I'm cooking them something slightly like that I'm not impressed with. So if I'm cooking them a pasta and I put a tomato sauce in, so basically an instant, so obviously not Dolmio because that's full of sugar, but like a tomato sauce, and I just feel a bit guilty about it, I'll whack a load of collagen in just to get something in them. So every meal I want to make sure that they're getting something. If I've not got bone broth, I'll whack some collagen in. It doesn't taste of anything. Some of them do actually. Soups Nutrition, the ones in Germany, I think they're trying to figure out a way to get it into out of Europe into the UK without paying that ridiculous tax. They've got a really nice strawberry flavored one that my boys like, that I put in their jelly, and then I make the jelly. I just make the jelly with like an innocent drink, and then I'll just put some gelatine in it from Planet Paleo, and boom, I've got a jelly, and I'll mix it with clotted cream, and or whip some cream up, not elm leaf because that is disgusting and comes from the planet Mars, but a really, really heavy, thick cream. And hang on, this is what I'm dealing with.
Oh God, I love them.
No, it's just like I've got 16 chickens that have just hatched as well. The house has gone nuts. Anyway, gut microbiome, it's fabulous. Right, L-glutamine for gut.
Right, okay. Now, in my experience, L-glutamine on its own for gut issues sometimes can cause bloating. It's quite often it's in a combination with other things that it works.
Okay, right.
So it's with things like slippery elm, so with other things. So I just say try it, but be careful with it. Sometimes I found people who've had L-glutamine as well, can cause sort of anxiety, because
really? That's really good heads up.
Yeah, so I think with children, I use this sort of like a supplement called IPS capsules, which has quite a few different things in it, like slippery elm. So I think it's things like, try maybe aloe vera juice, try slippery elm. But if they can start taking supplements, so from the age of 7, 8, then actually they can start taking normal adult size supplements. So think of how big is this child. If they're, the same height as you, they can absolutely take the same supplements as you. So if they're half the size of an adult, then maybe half dosage. But once they get to about that age, they can take pretty much, the same kind of supplements that adults do.
And do you know what I find crazy? When we're discussing things like collagen and natural things like cream and obviously if you're lactose tolerant, and butter and meat, and all of a sudden we go, yeah, but can children have that? Meanwhile, they've got some Twizzlers stuck in the mouth, and they've got a packet of Pringles, and they've got a can of Coke, and you're just like, where's the hypocrisy? It's like we trust these huge brands to give us something safe for our kids, these massive brands like Coca-Cola and Kellogg's. And you know what? They're just killing our kids. They're giving them diabetes. They're giving them depression. They are giving them obesity. And we don't even question it because we're just used to seeing Kellogg's, Coke, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Pizza Express.
You can't really get many healthy cereals. Now, someone said, how do you know if it's casein allergy or lactose? Can be tricky, but of course, in a DNA test, you can see whether they're lactose intolerant. So if they are not lactose intolerant and they still react to dairy, then you know it's casein. So I suppose it is a process of elimination. And in my family, it's more casein that's the issue. I'm the only one that's lactose intolerant, but other members of the family have more of an issue with dairy. It's more obvious. Or should I say the reaction is more obvious, it's quicker. So I think that's kind of one way to find out, an easy way. DNA testing, which will come on to the offer.
We'll come on to. Okay, this lady's daughter started getting an acne breakout during her A-levels, and after having very good skin, she's still got it now. She's 20 and she spent a fortune on dermatologists and facialists and the whole shebang.
Okay, so it sounds like possibly stress has triggered a cortisol response, which has raised insulin. Insulin is very much linked with acne. So I would be doing vitamin A, vitamin D, zinc, and I would probably even try chromium as well. So you can get liquid
balance out the sugary sort.
Yeah, a drop of chromium before each meal. Yeah, I think, because it sounds like that could well have been triggered by stress. If I'm sort of thinking exams. But did it also trigger a daughter as well? Did it trigger a bit more of an estrogen imbalance as well? So that's where possibly DIM might come in handy. I tried the other things first before launching into something like that.
Can she cut out the experiments and go for a test? And if so, which one?
Yeah, so I think, for, you've got your genetic predisposition, so then the estrogen DNA test. In terms of skin, gut, I suppose that would be the nutrient core DNA test. Doesn't sound like it's only acne.
It's been triggered because she had good skin before.
Yeah,
would that not be a genetic thing? That's a sort of circumstantial thing. So
it can be, but stress. You've got your genes, but quite often we've talked about you've got your genetic predisposition, but then
something's awakened the gene.
Yeah, what's the trigger? You can also do like an organic acids test, I suppose, to see what vitamins and minerals, sort of nutrients that she might be lacking.
Is that just a wee test? You just wee. That's just the organic acid test. That's a really good
that's a wee test.
Tim Biohacker's commenting that one. That's his favourite one, actually.
And then looking at stress levels now. So if she's stressed, then I'd be doing an adrenal test, so to look at cortisol throughout the day. So I know it sounds all a bit complicated because I don't know enough about her, but maybe try those nutrients first of all. It does sound like it was triggered by stress. It doesn't mean that you still don't need those skin nutrients. You probably do, like the vitamin A, the zinc, but also it's sort of having a look at what happened, if it was stress and why that stress, how that affected the body. Yeah.
Okay, how do you wean a child off sugar?
Yeah.
$1 billion question.
Depends how old. Take it away. Don't give it to your child. Okay, slowly maybe, because a child, like an adult, could have really bad withdrawal symptoms. Yeah. So I've had clients who've thrown up for days, for a couple of days when they come off sugar. So it could be have a severe withdrawal symptom. So you might want to just wean it out. Take it out slowly so they don't have that major effect.
I mean, what I do is I kind of replace it with paleo sugars anyway. So I will, I'll say, no, we're not having sweets. And like, I said, but we're having pancakes. And then all of a sudden it's okay. The pancakes have got maple syrup on it, The pancakes have got organic honey on it. and the pancakes are made with banana. So they're super, super sweet and cinnamon. And the cinnamon balances the blood sugar. The maple syrup's got a ton of ingredients in that the body can utilize, and it's got a lower GI. It takes longer to burn out, so there's less of a drop, and it's less addictive. It's super sweet, and it's maple syrup. You know, it's come from a tree.
Yeah,
it's nowhere near as bad as the stuff that you've got in packets of whatever you buy, a cereal. So basically, you're just going to have a look at what the most natural forms of sugar are, because of course kids gravitate towards fruit and sugar because they're growing, and that's in their primal brain to hunt it out. That's why they crave it. But you give too much to them, and it's going to be like anything. It's going to become addictive. And the last thing you want is a child who's addicted to something. It's hell on earth. Take it from an addict. There is nothing worse than a craving. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So try and have something that is still sweet, that is still going to give them energy, that they're going to look forward to, but try it paleo. There are billions and billions and billions of recipes and companies now that do paleo ingredients, and it's a step in the right direction. And soon you become so aware of what's on the back of a packet. I never even look at, as soon as I see some nice packaging, I spin it around and go, okay, so what are you trying to con me with now?
Yeah.
I just constantly convinced of being conned.
Most of the recipes, sweet recipes on my website are all using things like, we use sugar vida a lot in our house, which is from the Palmyra jaggery tree. So that has a very low GI, very low impact on blood sugars. It's a bit like brown sugar. So, and we've also got maple syrup, we use monk fruit. So have a look at my website, some of those sweet things, because there are a lot of things that children would like on there as well. They're not
okay, this lady says her daughter is addicted to Nutella. Surely we can come up with an alternative. First of all, you need to tell her what's in it and explain to her that this is going to do X, Y, and Z to you. You know, as a young girl, you certainly don't want to be having something that's going to make you have spots or put you in a bad mood or maybe make you bloated, but also maybe teach her how to make her own Nutella. It's not that difficult. There are tons and tons and tons of recipes.
I think I made it once with hazelnuts and things like that. Actually, I'm sure I remember years ago making it. They just Google a recipe for that, and I'm sure you can buy healthier versions of Nutella as well.
Yeah, you can. Just keep away from there. Just have a look. Basically, look for any sugars that are refined and any ingredients you don't understand. And sunflower oil, cut it out. Sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, they are the devil. Okay. Daily multivitamins.
Yeah, so just a good brand. I think BioCare are very good.
BioCare, did you say?
Yeah, BioCare are very good for, I think, some children's supplements. Yeah. I don't know retail brands really well. NutriGold is a very good company that when I can't get sort of like my practitioner supplements, so the ones that are sort of high strength ones, then I'll go to NutriGold to get it. And
you like Viridian as well. I like Viridian.
Yeah, I do like Viridian as well.
Viridian as well. So basically what you're looking for is a company that's not got fillers in it, because they could be doing your kid more damage and things that aren't sweetened. And you know what? You're just going to have to be sneaky and put it in a smoothie, put it in their drink, or just explain to them, this is going to do this for you. It's going to make you it's going to make your hair longer. It's going to make, I don't know, your eyelashes longer. It's going to make you more muscular. It's going to make you taller. It's going to make you cleverer. Just give them the truth and tell them what it's doing to them. That's why they're taking it.
If they can't swallow supplements, then you need to get it into food somehow. But I think I put a link in my bio to the NutriGold website there. I'm not sure if it's in stock, but they do a really nice children's multi and also a vitamin D spray. But as soon as they're sort of old enough, then they can use adult supplements anyway. And I'd start getting them used to it, sort of when they can, being able to, swallow supplements to get over
my
that.
12-year-old he can now. He said, I'd rather just swallow the supplement than eat the food. I'm like, but I spent hours preparing this to write. It's disgusting. Fine. Moving on. Okay, we're going to fly through some questions, okay? Okay, we've got an eczema question. We've got a myotoxin question, kids with H. pylori, and Candida intolerances left untreated cause mental health in kids. Yeah. So there's a few there.
Okay, so if in doubt about any parasites, H. pylori, do a stool test. You can go to Regenerous Labs online. You can order this yourself, Regenerous Labs, do the GI 360 stool test, and then you can do the H. pylori add-on. Okay, I can't remember how much the test is. It's not cheap, but you get a lot there. You'll get everything, but you can do an H. pylori add-on onto that. So if
would you be able to get a candida test inside that as well?
Yes, it's everything.
Right.
So calprotectin check for leaky gut. You'll be able to see some pancreatic enzymes. You'll be able to see everything. So we want to see.
I think I fancy doing one of those again, actually, because of my pancreas, you know.
I think, yeah, I would do it if I were you. I've had a test, been sitting here for a year, and I still haven't done it. I did it years ago, but you see, I did my whole family, and a couple of members had a parasite, and I never knew.
Wow. Do you know what? You just don't know who's living rent-free in your bloody gut anymore, do you? Honestly, freeloaders everywhere. Okay, so, and the same, what about with mycotoxins then? So with that...
Yeah, like mold toxins, fungus. So, you know, that would be sort of going down a sort of antifungal type diet, antifungal sort of route. You can sort of test for that as well. And then also particular certain types of probiotics can help too. Yeah, I mean, I would probably even, if you know definitely, or maybe even try testing for that to be, you know, sure. If in doubt, then test. You know, if we're talking about...
to be honest, I think testing is the most cost-effective thing to do because of time, headache, guesswork, and the amount of bloody money you spend on supplements, and it just takes years, you know? It can take years, and you still don't know the bloody name of what you're looking for.
If you've tried, if your child has eczema, you've tried gluten and dairy-free and minimised sugar, and you've done that for a month and absolutely no improvement, well, then, of course, you go to the next stage, and you've done sort of gut, you know, healing sort of supplements. You know, but if you want to go straight for the stool test, then absolutely. But you can try an elimination diet first and then see.
That's going to be tricky with a kid, though. Elimination diets are tricky. So this is the trouble. I'd go for a test. Yeah. Somebody just mentioned coconut sugar as well. Personally, I think coconut sugar is kind of the same as cane sugar. It's going to spike you into... I mean, for kids, I suppose it might be a little bit better. I don't know. I mean, it's not as refined. But to be honest, I just think it's a posh word for sugar. I'd stick with honey and maple syrup if you're going to try and wean them off.
So, I mean, look, all these sugars we're talking about, they are still some form of sugar. But, you know, we're talking about children here. It's hard to cut everything out of their diet. So, you know, it might be for us and to, you know, with, you know, somebody who's like a sugar addict, that you have to get all of it out. But if you can we're talking about sort of minimizing. So therefore, you know, it's a drizzle of honey or a small amount of maple syrup, or we're just not talking about having tons of it sort of every day. So all of these things really, they are some form of sugar. But we're talking about minimizing it and going for better forms of sugar.
And stuff that your body can use. So it's not just going to go straight to the brain. Your body is going to use the stuff that's in an organic maple syrup. It's going to be able to use the stuff that is in a decent honey because it's food. It's not manufactured sugar. That's highly addictive. And just think, it's cocaine.
And sweeteners. And don't think you can start getting sweeteners, artificial sweeteners into your children. That is my biggest no. No, never. No diet sort of drinks with sweeteners. No, you know, check for aspartame. Absolutely don't get that near your child. I'm really quite vocal on that. Right, sorry, before I go off on one.
No, it's okay. Well, I think we have to do a whole thing on sugar at one point, actually. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we've got a lactose intolerant, a son who's 11, lactose intolerant as a baby, resolved when he turned 18 months. Now he has halitosis. I said, try swilling with Simprove, try and get some decent bacteria in there.
I think there's still some gut dysbiosis there.
Right.
Yeah, because bad breath, halitosis, is definitely a sign of imbalanced gut. So even though, and the fact it said it was resolved when he turned 18 months, maybe it's just those symptoms went away, but now he's got...
The root cause was still there.
So something is still going on. Yeah.
Okay, what's your thoughts on organic stevia for kids?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I use organic stevia with vanilla. I mix stevia with vanilla and they don't notice the difference. If stevia's on its own, it's got that taste, you know, that taste.
Yeah,
if I mix it with like Nick's do a really good pipette thing, and I put that into anything. If I'm mixing them up a smoothie that I don't think is going to go down too well, I just want to sack it, put a bit of stevia in. They're like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. So yeah.
That's stevia's in the Sun Warrior blend. That's what it's sweetened with. It's fun.
The stevia's okay, but it's all the other crap. Just swerve it completely. Yeah. Oh, this is quite interesting. There's a little boy who's got dyspraxia and anxiety. She says she notices his mood change with different foods. I mean, I did an interview with a really lovely doctor called Dr. Rachel Gow that you met, remember? And she's got a company called Nutritious Minds, and she's a huge advocate of DHAs, isn't she? And what else would you say on top of that?
Yeah, I would say, well, first of all, look at diet and getting certain things out. So, like in America, they have schools of, you know, where they're treating children with autism, and they know that when they give them, in fact, read Patrick Holford's book. It's really easy to understand. It talks all about this. So, but removing gluten and dairy, how much their concentration improved, their behaviour. So, absolutely look at that in sugar. But that's where then, yes, omega-3, so fish oils can really help as well.
Fish oils are great. Yeah. Well, actually, but coming on to that, there's a little girl here who won't have that Eskimo fish oil, even in tutti frutti flavour. Any other way to get some oils into her?
So obviously, maybe she's having it straight off a spoon, so it's really can hide it in a smoothie.
She won't have a smoothie. This is the trouble with some kids. They just have this block, don't they? It's so infuriating that these massive companies, like at Christmas and at Easter, they just push these sweets onto parents, and you feel guilty, and then you give them to your kids and they never forget the taste, and all of a sudden their whole palate is ruined, and whatever you give them, it's just like never. I mean, I never forget my first glass of wine, put it that way. Why are they going to forget the first Haribo? It's just in there, you know. It's highly addictive, you know, and it changes their mood. It's designed that way. It's so annoying.
I think try with food first. It's very hard. I know if your child just won't take certain things, then you're just going to have to sort of try with food first, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I often do salmon with breaded sourdough. You know, I make the sourdough. I toast some sourdough because it's probably already gone hard anyway. And then I'll blend it up in the NutriBullet with some herbs and spices, and then I'll bread it. I'll dip the salmon in some egg, and then I'll dip it in it's a bit like just like
I must just show you this. Now, I came across this the other day. I contributed 20 recipes to this when my son was 1 or 2, and I'd forgotten. So I got this nice little intro from Gina Ford at the beginning. So this is very old. And it's really for toddlers, and even I scrolled across recipes that I've written myself. But I sold Gina Ford these recipes. I think when my son was about 20 recipes, and I got my mother to type them all up. But I've even changed my own recipes.
Ta-da!
So anyway,
moving that times. Right, we've got 5 minutes.
Yes, and we need to get that special offer, the DNA special offer, which is going to go live tonight.
Someone had that book. Okay, I just wanted to get to this one here. This lady's daughter, she's sick. She still wets the bed, and the hospital think it's a possible bladder issue. What can she look at? What can she do?
So how old?
She's only 6,
and she's still wetting the bed.
She's still wetting the bed, yeah. But the doctor seems to think it's a bladder issue. What can we look at in a bladder situation like that?
Well, obviously, I don't know the medical aspect behind it. I don't know the medical aspect behind it, but yes, I'd be looking at gut. You know, why they might be getting, is it bladder infections that she's getting? We don't know enough about this particular case, but if it's infections, then why are they prone to getting sort of bladder infections?
Can it transfer from the gut into the bladder?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you look
because there's an 11-year-old here. There's an 11-year-old here who's still getting it.
Yeah, very common. Just girls, women, for example, just our anatomy and how close everything is. And it's very common, continues and gets worse and worse sometimes as we get sort of older, and women say every time they have sex they get it. It's, you know, the anatomy and everything is very close. So it's, yeah, so it absolutely can be to do with the gut as well, if you're picking up bladder infections, and then just hygiene as well, you know, so which way they're wiping.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Interesting. I mean, that's just a poor thing. God, that'll really knock the confidence, wouldn't it? Okay, so can we move on to this DNA test? Because I didn't even know that they were going to give us an offer. Because
well, they gave it to you.
Admin.
I just throw it at you. I know. I just said, you know, oh, there's going to be an offer. In fact, it's it's for you to announce tonight. So it's the because the people have been asking for boys as well. So and they wanted girls. Can girls do DNA testing? Absolutely, you can sort of do it from birth. So link is in my bio, and Davinia, I sent you the 2 links. There is a boy / male men offer and a girl offer. So it's the nutrient core test and estrogen for the female one. And then it's nutrient core and detox for the boy one. Okay, so we've got 2 really nice little tests. Later on, they can always do any add-ons if they want, but 2 really nice tests in a package, 40% off each. And
okay, so you've got the link in your bio. Will you be able to send me that, and I'll put the link in my bio too?
Yeah, I have already.
That's really good value.
It to you just before.
I mean, because I want to revisit the child thing as well, because it's so important that we all know we're getting the right information. Because I've already had my kids' DNA done, but to be honest, you went over the results, didn't you? I spent a bomb on it, and it just doesn't have the information that I'm looking for, and it's really tricky. It's pH.
It's set out in a really, so it's done per condition. It's sort of set out in a really strange way. It's not very usable. I found it really hard to go through them, actually.
Okay, so guys, if you want to get your boys or your girls DNA tested, or your husband's or your own, specifically for PMT, menopause, the whole weight gain scenario that us women deal with because of estrogen, we're doing a 40% offer for that DNA test. All it is a swab. It's nothing invasive. And this is for life. So you will know your kids' DNA, their weaknesses, and how to navigate them for the next 100 years. God willing, we all live that long.
So it's DNA testing. It's not a stool test, which is Regeneris Labs. This is DNA testing, so genetic predispositions. So we can still see, you know, for children's gut microbiome, can they absorb B12, vitamin D? So it's a really useful test. But yes, it's the same one we can use for adults as well. So you test.
Remember, your DNA doesn't change. So it's exactly the same from the day you were born till the day you die, and actually after you die. So your DNA is your DNA. It's a one-off test, and we've got a 40% off for both men and women. And no, your DNA will not be the same as your daughter's, because you've got her DNA is half you and half your husband's and the grandparents. So no, it's totally different. So there'll be similarities, and you'll be able to go, yeah, you got that off me, clever you. But no, of course, you'll be able to blame a lot on your husband there. Say, no, I'm sorry, you got that on that side of the family. That's that road.
She gets it from him.
She gets it from you, you pig. Well, that's what I do anyway. All right, Pippa, lovely talking to you. And we'll put this up again in probably about 48 hours with all the links and everything. But a joy to speak to you.
Oh, lovely to see you. Bye.
Take care. Hi, Victoria. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.